Hello, I'm DelusionDispeller, and this video is going to be a very serious type of video. Some very disturbing things will be talked about, and this is only the beginning. This situation is currently going on and was going on in the past for the woman that gave me this information. Her name is Kim, and she really wishes at this point to remain somewhat sheltered and protected, and I respect her wishes in that. But I definitely know that she and I both want you to know and be aware of this insidious thing that's going on. You may have noticed on the thumbprint of this video, the title page, it said a cult with wicked sticks or wicked switches or something. There's a reason for that, and we'll get more into that as I go on in this video. But basically, I'm coming to you to tell you about something called the 12 Tribes. I believe the full name is the 12 Tribes of Israel, or the community, or communities. There's different names it goes under. They have different businesses that they run also that are pretty well known and pretty popular. And behind all of this is a very sinister thing going on, especially regarding children. As well as its members. So I sat down with Kim indirectly through email and asked her to answer some questions for us to shed some light on exactly what is going on in the 12 Tribes cult. So I'm going to basically kind of pretend like she's here and go back and forth dialogue style as to what I said to her in question form and what she answered. So here we go. I said to Kim, or asked Kim, can you share some things to look for when considering if one might be getting into or already in a cult? And some of these were your questions as well. So I don't mean I directly asked her, but I asked her your questions and my questions along with it. So I asked her, could you consider, or can you share some things to look for when considering if one might be getting into or already in a cult? Kim's answer was this: yes, I can. Most people, when getting into a cult, haven't yet realized it is a cult. All walks of life seek intentional communal living, and some communal living is sincere. So there are some groups that are sincere. The 12 Tribes, this group we're talking about, do not let people know, of course, that they are indeed a cult until you have given up your possessions, including homes, cars, your families, to them. So you're going to give up everything to them. Although if you see warning signs, this can be stopped before your life is ruined, which is why we're making this video. There are many red flags, but unless you knew them or know them, you can only see what she calls their love bombing tactics to keep you there. Kim further says, I discovered that the majority of people who come to the 12 Tribes and actually stay are people like myself, whom for a variety of reasons are having difficulty in life, getting by socially, emotionally, financially, among more, and are seeking a comfort zone. When such a person finds this, they feel that God sent them, which of course is what the 12 Tribes also uses as a tactic to keep you there, saying that God has, destined you to be there. A person may feel what they believe to be the only love that they've ever found, a true family who accepts them as they are. And I will share Kim's red flag list at another time in another video. But she does have some red flags that you can be looking for to make sure you're not getting into a cult. So, what happened, number 2, what happened to make you realize that you were dealing with a cult? Kim's response was, it took a long time, yet a voice inside me did at times have me question my life in the 12 Tribes. However, because you are, even as a guest, immediately matched up to one other person, usually an elder's wife, and told not to ask the members questions, but only to go to the basically assigned person with any questions or problems that you're struggling with. And that person will talk with you, but they'll evade your fears and questions, and then they'll drill into you that it's what they call the evil one, trying to pull you away from the only people who truly care for and love you. And that if you just give it up and let your brothers and sisters handle everything and you, and do not question but only trust, then you will make it in the kingdom, and only then will you have eternal life. So questioning is obviously a no-no in the 12 tribes. Somehow, once this is said enough, along with the fact that you're totally discouraged from outside contact of any kind, you believe it. So they use isolation also. There's another one. They're isolating you from your friends and family. Usually they say things, I don't know about this cult, but cults in general usually say, oh, well, you know, they're not enlightened. They don't have the knowledge that we have. So to them, they're going to think you're in a cult. They're going to think this is all foolish and you've lost your mind and, you know, you don't need that pressure right now. That kind of stuff. Okay. So you say it and they say it enough and then you believe it. Your days are kept entirely routine from worshiping and working, that you obtain very little rest and no time to think. So there's the other thing, sleep deprivation. They keep you going ritualistically. You are sent to work from some hour to another hour, and then after that you're given like very little to eat, Kim told me, and then you really don't get a whole lot of rest because it's right back out to work again, fresh and early the next morning after very little sleep. So sleep deprivation. A little bit of starvation sounds like it's going on as well in the 12 tribes. All right. I really want to do this all in one video, so I'm going to try and do it as far as I can, and hopefully we'll be able to do that without me having to cut it short. All right. Regarding this, I remember hearing of a girl, I think Kim told me this, who had to work literally from like 8 in the morning till around 10 at night, with very, very little breaks in between. And she was just exhausted. And she was young, a very young girl. So the next thing I asked her, number 3, so Kim, what compelled you to join? What kept you there? Was it fear that kept you there? And this was a viewer's questions, I believe, actually. Kim said, I was a wife and a mom of 4 when I joined the 12 tribes the first time in 1992. I was residing, and I'm not going to list the state for her protection, but I will say a certain state with her husband and her 4 children that were all very young. I, however, was born in a different state, and I don't want to go into detail, but my husband in the line of duty was murdered. So she lost her husband in a very, very sad way. Of course, I felt alone and desperate, and after the trial and his murderer was convicted, I decided I was going to my home state. She was going to go back to where she came from. She was going to stay with a friend. So I took the bus with my children. It was a long ride. Sitting next to me on my seat was what looked like a paper. I picked it up, and on the front there was a picture of John Lennon with the word Imagine. It was written by the 12 tribes. I read it, and it talked about a group of people who lived, worked, played, and loved God together. It sounded too good to be true, so I put down the paper. I didn't really think too much more about it. On the way off the bus, for some reason I took it and tucked it in a bag. I arrived in a certain state, and my friend had called the terminal to say that she was running 3 hours late. I read that paper again and felt a drawing to it, and I called them. I saw pictures of people dancing, smiling, praying, kids looking happy with old-fashioned fun. They offered to come get us immediately, saying we would come back, we could come for a day or 2, or to stay. I was so curious, I left a message at my friend's and went. So she just left with the 12 tribes people. They came and got her and just told her friend, well, I took a trip, I guess. I don't know. I'll let Kim decide what she told her friend, but I don't want to make conjectures here. But imagine that. You're the friend, and Kim's gone. She went off with some people. She didn't know them, but she went off to hopefully find a better life for her and her children in a happy place where everybody got along and played and worshiped God and seemed to be having such a good time. Sounds like bliss. Sounds like heaven on earth. Sounds like utopia. Anyway, stay tuned. I'll share more.